Hey, what's up? This is 20 here. The Genshin Impact TCG, aka Genius Invocation, just came out earlier last week, and I've been having a lot of fun learning the game and trying to understand all the strategies and intricacies it has to offer. I just wanted to make a video going over the cards that I think that are going to be staples in every deck. I also want to touch base on some cards that I think should be up for consideration. Even if you don't play PvP, I hope this information will be useful in helping you clear the in-game content. Just bear in mind that this is all my personal opinion based on my own experiences with card games. Alright, so first off, what is a staple? A staple is a term for a card that is so generically good that almost every deck plays those cards. In my opinion, if you aren't playing these staple cards, then you're going to be at a severe disadvantage compared to your opponent because they're going to out-resource you. So let's talk about the concept of resource advantage. And I say resource advantage because in this game, you have two types of resources, cards and elemental die. So in any card game, the more resources that you have, there are more options you can make and more actions you can take. So with that said, any cards or any effects in this game that can give you more resources will be very good. Okay, so the first two cards we're going to talk about are Strategize and Leeway Harbor Wharf. Both cards have the effect of draw two cards, but the difference between them is that Leeway Harbor Wharf will let you draw 4 cards total over the course of 2 turns, while Strategize will resolve immediately and let you draw 2 instantly. Another thing to note is that Strategize is a 1-cost card, meaning it needs only 1 elemental die, while Leeway Harbor Wharf requires 2 costs. And draw cards are just good in general because they let you dig through your deck for other key cards required in your strategy. So for example, in the Ayaka and Yoimiya team comp, you need to be able to have access to the Gambler's Earrings and the Minty Meat Rolls in order to enable your OTK. Moving on, I want to talk about the concept of mana screw. This term comes from Magic the Gathering and is defined as the condition of having an insufficient supply of the correct color of mana. In the Genshin card game, we can relate to this because there will be times when we won't have enough of the correct elemental die in order to play our cards and activate our effects. There are a few cards in the game that will help us mitigate this condition and also just generate us resources, which is why they're so good. So far in this game, there are 3 ways to mitigate mana screw. The first way is to generate Omni Elemental die. The second way is to re-roll for the proper elemental die. And then the last way is to be guaranteed your elemental die. So in this category, the first card we're going to talk about is Paimon, which is a 3-cost card that will help us generate 2 Omni Element die. This effect will occur over the course of 2 turns. So while it will take 3 of the same elemental die to play this card, it will overall generate you 4 Omni Elemental die in the end. So this card will generally help you set up for bigger plays in the later rounds. The next card is Parametric Transformer, which will generate 3 elemental die while only costing 2 to activate. Like Paimon, this card will help you set up for bigger plays in the later rounds. This card is relatively easy to proc because it is inevitable that elemental damage will occur, but you have to time it correctly because if your opponent procs this card while you have already ended your turn, that means the 3 resources that it generates will just fizzle. Which is why Lieben is such a good card because he can collect any unused elemental die and basically convert that into an Omni Elemental die for a later turn. Best of all, Lieben is a 0-cost card, meaning he doesn't require any elemental die to cast. Last of all, the card, the Best Travel Companion, will help you unmana screw by converting the elemental die used to cast it into 2 Omni Elemental die. And because it is a 2-cost card, you basically get what you paid for. Alright, so on the topic of cards that let you re-roll your elemental die, I don't think that they are currently worth playing. The reason is because you're still subjecting yourself to RNG. Let's say, for example, that you needed more Pyro Elemental die, but you re-rolled into an Aqua Elemental die, which you don't even have a character for. So what was the point of re-rolling, right? If you can't even get the resources that you need. Which is why I think the card Jade Chamber is very good, because it guarantees you 2 die that matches the element of your active character. Alright, so basically the cards I mentioned so far in this discussion are cards that I think needs to go in every deck. They are staples. Another card that I was considering playing and I think is worth mentioning is Timmy. The reason why I think Timmy could be a good card is because, first off, he's a 0 cost, meaning he doesn't require any elemental die to cast. Next, he basically replaces himself by letting you draw 1 card and also generating 1 Omni Elemental dice. The downside to Timmy is that it takes 3 rounds to reap the benefits, meaning he's too slow to play. If you have him in your opening hand, then he's really good, but if you draw him in the late game, then he's basically a dead card. However, I think some people will find that Timmy's pros will outweigh the cons in certain strategies. To finish this discussion, I wanted to go over some tech cards that I think will be relevant in the metagame as it continues to develop. The term tech card basically refers to cards that help decks counter certain strategies. So for example, the cards Send Off and Guardian's Oath both have the effects of destroying summons on the board. So you can basically say that these 2 cards are tech cards against character cards that rely on summons, such as Xiangling, Fishwell, Mona, and Ganyu. I think a tech card that is worth mentioning is Lotus Flower Crisp, which basically says that the next time the target character will receive damage, it will take -3 damage. I think this card is pretty good because it has a low cost of 1, and it will also protect your character cards from 1-turn kill strategies. Alright, that's all I have to say for this video. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the thought process. Thank you for watching.